Exposed, my heartwarming journey after discovering my wife's incredible betrayal with 4 men. It was the kind of sunny autumn day that made Silver Creek look like a Hallmark movie. The trees were dressed in vibrant reds and yellows, the air just crisp enough to send a shiver down your spine. But for Tom, the 35-year-old mechanic who had always been the heart of the town, that day felt like the calm before a storm. As he wiped down the greasy tools in his shop, he thought about the upcoming barbecue with neighbors, the laughter of children riding their bikes outside, and how blessed he was to have a loving wife, Sarah, and their 2 precious kids. Little did he know, everything was about to crumble. The moment that changed his life forever crept in like an unexpected chill. Tom stumbled upon Sarah's phone, lit with notifications. Curiosity tugged at him, and before he could stop himself, he tapped the screen. What he saw sent heartache coursing through his veins. Text messages revealing his wife's year-long affair with 4 different men, including his best friend. Betrayal cut deep. It was like a knife twisted in his gut by the last person he ever expected it from. Tom's heart raced, his breath quickened. The warmth of home now felt cold, dark, suffocating. The laughter he'd come to cherish was silenced by the pounding in his chest. He staggered back, the phone slipping from his fingers, as tears welled up, stinging his eyes. The whispers in the community began before he even had a chance to process what had happened. Pity and judgment replaced admiration, transforming acquaintances into strangers. The man who once fixed cars for free, helped on countless lemonade stands, now faced a community unsure of how to react. Through the endless cycle of grief, Tom grappled with an internal war. Could he find it in his heart to forgive Sarah? Each awkward moment they shared was loaded with unspoken words, empty glances, and the tick-tock of a clock counting down the minutes of their family life slipping away. It hurt. But amidst the pain, a flicker of hope began to emerge. Perhaps families could heal. In an unexpected twist, the townspeople rallied around him with support that warmed his shattered heart. They organized a fundraiser to help with their son's medical bills, assembling in the town square, sharing stories and laughter as barbecues filled the air with smoky flavor. Reminded of the bonds that made Silver Creek special, Tom felt a shift. What if he could turn this painful chapter into something transformative? What if he could teach his children resilience, the value of community, and the power of forgiveness? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but as Tom contemplated rebuilding his life, an unexpected encounter threw him into turmoil. One of the men from Sarah's past cornered him at the local diner. Tom's heart pounded. Anger surged. This was the moment where he could scream or take a deep breath, where he could push back or show compassion. What would he choose? His family, his heart, hung in the balance. Silver Creek watched closely as Tom stood at the crossroads of revenge and forgiveness, a silent witness to the emotional fallout of love and betrayal. Would he reclaim his story, or would this heartbreak lead him down a path from which he couldn't return? The answers lay just ahead, waiting for Tom to find them amid the chaos. Tom's heart raced, pounding against his ribcage like a drum. The diner's familiar hum faded into a low buzz, the clatter of plates and whispers of patrons melting into the background. He felt the weight of every gaze on him, a mix of sympathy and judgment swirling in the air. Craig, one of the men who had betrayed him, stood across the small booth. The man who was once a close friend, now a figure of pain. "Tom," Craig began, voice shaky, shifting uncomfortably. I never meant for it to happen." Tom ignored the trembling voice. Words felt far away, as if they were trapped behind a thick glass wall. He kept his eyes fixed on Craig, searching for signs of remorse, an acknowledgement of the destruction left in their wake. "I know things are complicated," Craig continued, glancing around, as if expecting someone to jump in and rescue him. "But I'm truly sorry." The calm, crisp autumn air of the diner felt suffocating now. Tom clenched his fists, then let them drop to his sides, feeling the pressure rise in his chest. The anger was a familiar companion, but beneath it was a wave of grief he hadn't fully faced. The warmth of his community, the laughter of his children, and the life he had built began to feel like ghosts of another life. "Sorry doesn't fix this, Craig," Tom finally said, each word tasting like gravel. "You took something that can't be replaced." Across the table, Craig swayed as if hit by Tom's words. "I know. I wish I could take it back." "Do you really?" Tom shot back. "Or are you just scared of what this has done to your own image?" The silence stretched between them, heavy and painful. Craig opened his mouth to respond, but Tom couldn't bear to hear it. He got up, the chair scraping harshly against the floor, turning away from the betrayal that had shattered everything he held dear. As he stepped outside into the crisp air, the vibrant colors of the leaves suddenly felt too bright, almost mocking. Silver Creek sprawled before him, the laughter of children and the smell of barbecues wafting through the streets. A place once filled with fond memories now seemed tainted. He paused, watching a group of kids play tag in the park, their laughter a sweet reminder of innocence. His heart clenched. They deserved better than this mess. They deserved joy, laughter, a father who could be whole again. As he made his way back home, Tom wrestled with his thoughts. Could he forgive Sarah? Could he repair the rift that had opened in their family? This didn't just involve his own pain, it was about protecting the kids from the fallout of adult decisions. When he walked through the door, a familiar warmth filled the air. Their children ran toward him, eyes bright with excitement. In their little world, everything was perfect. He knelt, enveloping them in a hug, feeling their love seep into the cracks of his heart. "Daddy!" His daughter squealed, "Can we make cookies together?" That simple request pulled at something deep and hopeful within him. He looked into their innocent eyes, and for the first time that day, a small sliver of light cut through his grief. "Let us do it," he smiled, not entirely sure what the future held but feeling ready to take the next step. As he gathered flour and sugar from the cupboard, Tom felt a renewed resolve. He had to face Sarah, to confront the reality of their situation. But how? The questions lingered in the back of his mind, casting shadows over his heart. Would this confrontation bring healing or further heartbreak? Tom took a deep breath, steadying himself as he reminded himself he wasn't just doing this for him, he was doing it for their family. And somewhere in that mixture of emotions and flour, he hoped he would discover not just answers, but a path toward redemption. As he brushed flour off his hands, he realized the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges. But he couldn't turn back now. Not when the stakes were so high. What would happen when he faced his own truths and Sarah's, letting them collide in an explosion of healing or hurt? The story was far from over, and the answers waited just around the corner. The smell of cinnamon and sugar filled the kitchen as Tom and his children rolled out the dough, laughter bubbling between them. Mixed with the scent of baking cookies was a bittersweet undertone of unresolved thoughts. As his daughter pressed cookie cutters into the soft dough, he couldn't shake the weight of his looming conversation with Sarah. "Daddy, look," she exclaimed, holding up a star-shaped cookie with pride. Her smile broke through the shadows clinging to Tom's heart. At that moment, the world outside faded away. He smiled back, but worry tugged at the corners of his mouth. "Beautiful, sweetie. Just like you," he replied, kissing the top of her head. As he placed the cookies in the oven, the kitchen filled with warmth. It felt like home, yet each clang of the oven door reminded him of the storm approaching in his life. Finally, they sat on the kitchen floor, waiting for the cookies to bake, surrounded by a chaotic mountain of flour and sprinkles. "Can we make frosting next?" his son asked eagerly, his eyes sparkling. "Of course," Tom promised, pushing aside his anxious thoughts for his children's sakes. Minutes passed, filled with cookie decorating and thick laughter. But soon, the timer rang, and the smell of freshly baked cookies wafted through the air. Tom's heart felt heavy again as he took the cookies out, the momentary joy fading into seriousness. "Well, guys, I need to talk to Mom," he said, the words tasting foreign. "Okay, but can we eat cookies first?" his daughter asked, her innocent excitement grounding him. "Yes, let us do that," he replied, but inside, he felt turmoil building. Each bite tasted bittersweet, flavored with the knowledge of the difficult conversation he was about to have. His children chatted about their favorite flavors, their innocence a stark contrast to his internal chaos. Every laugh echoed as a reminder of what was at stake. He loved them fiercely, yet the heavy burden of betrayal sat like a weight on his chest. After they finished, the laughter faded, and it was time. Tom could feel the knot of apprehension twisting tighter as he moved toward the living room. As he walked into the living room, Sarah's eyes met his. A blend of love and uncertainty flickered between them. She sat curled on the couch, her posture echoing the tension in the air. "Hey, how was baking?" she asked, her voice light, but Tom could sense the underlying worry. "It was fun." Tom stayed standing, his heart racing as he gathered his thoughts, wrestling with the words that felt too heavy to let out. "Tom, what's wrong?" Sarah's gaze searched his face. He took a deep breath, knowing this moment would change everything. "We need to talk about us." Though her face remained calm, her eyes widened imperceptibly. "Can we talk about something else?" she asked, desperation seeping into her tone. "No, we can't," he replied, the firmness in his voice surprising even himself. In that instant, everything felt fragile. The facade of their life together hung in the balance. The warmth of the cookies and laughter seemed so far away. Why did it have to come to this? She whispered, and with those words, the air thickened with emotions left unsaid. Could they find a way to navigate the wreckage, to confront what lay ahead? Tom's heart raced faster than ever, and he could almost feel the walls closing in. What truths were waiting to be unleashed, and would he have the strength to face them together? As he prepared to cross the threshold into the unknown, the question hung in the air, begging to be answered. Would they emerge as something broken or discover a way to heal? The air in the living room was thick with unspoken words. Tom stood frozen, the words "we need to talk" echoing in the empty space between them. He could see the way Sarah's fingers fidgeted with the hem of her sweater, her usual calm displaced by a brewing storm. For a brief moment, he wished he could turn back time, back to the kitchen filled with laughter and sweet scents, where everything felt safe. "Tom, please, what do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper now, fragile. He swallowed hard, his heart pounding as fear intermingled with resolve. "I know about the texts. About you and other people." The words were like shards of glass, sharp and painful as they cut through the air. Despite every ounce of his being wishing to soften the blow, there was no gentle way to say it. A flicker of shock crossed her face, followed by a rush of emotions swirling through her eyes. Anger. Guilt. But most of all, confusion. "What are you talking about?" she stammered, her words losing their lightness. Tom clenched his fists, steeling himself against the flood of emotions he could feel rising within him. "I saw the messages on your phone, Sarah." The truth hung heavy in the air, yet it felt strangely liberating to finally voice the unspoken. "You've been involved with men." She recoiled as if slapped. "Tom, I don't." He cut her off, desperation coloring his tone. "Just let me talk." There was a fleeting moment of silence as she nodded, biting her lip while a few tears escaped her eyes. "I can't pretend I didn't see it," he continued, his voice low but resolute. "We've built a life together, and now everything feels like a lie. How did we get here?" Sarah's shoulders trembled. "It wasn't meant to be like this," she whispered, her voice breaking. "It was a mistake I didn't want." "It doesn't matter," Tom interrupted, more hurt than angry. "What matters is that it happened." He took a step closer, feeling the distance between them, the invisible thread that now felt frayed. I need to know if you want this, if you want us. Her gaze drifted down as more tears spilled over, and he could almost see the gears turning in her mind, trying to piece together their shattered reality. I love you, Tom, she finally said, her voice heavy with despair. But I was lost. I lost. He stepped back, feeling the weight of her words as if they were arrows piercing deeper into his heart. You decided to look for someone else instead of talking to me. I can't wrap my head around that. The silence that followed was more deafening than any argument. Tom could see the shadows of memories sneaking in, recalling once happy moments they shared. But now, everything felt tainted, nothing but a mere echo of what once was. Can we find a way back from this? She finally urged, her eyes searching his, filled with both fear and hope. Tom's heart ached at her plea. Would they be strong enough to navigate this darkness? Was forgiveness possible, and at what cost? Standing there, Tom felt the walls of his world crashing down, and the question sat heavy in the air. Could they rebuild something worth saving, or was it time to end their story? As he stared into Sarah's eyes, something shifted. The path ahead was uncertain, but both had to choose. What would that choice look like on the other side of pain? And could they, in their brokenness, discover a way to truly see each other again? The weight of it all hung palpably in the air, a fragile moment poised on the edge of a precipice, waiting for the next voice to sway the outcome. The moment stretched, silence wrapping around them like a thick fog. Tom's mind raced as he searched for words that would somehow bridge the chasm that had opened between them. Finally, he broke the stillness. What did you think would happen? Did you really believe I wouldn't find out? The hurt in his voice was undeniable, the bitter taste of betrayal lingering on his tongue. Sarah's fingers tightened around her sweater, as if that small piece of fabric could anchor her in this storm. I didn't think, her voice faltered. I was so caught up in my own feelings. I just wanted to feel alive again. Alive? Tom's brow furrowed. The word hung between them, a cruel twist on the reality they had created together. By risking everything we built. Yes. She almost shouted, the emotion bursting forth. I didn't know how to talk to you. I felt like a ghost in my own life, like I was fading, and when someone else showed interest, it was like someone finally saw me. He hated that he could almost understand her. They'd both been drifting, hadn't they? But he had never made such reckless choices. And what about me, Sarah? Did you ever think about how I would feel? The trust we had? She froze, the pain from her actions crashing over her like a wave. I thought I could control it. I was wrong. As the tears spilled from her eyes, Tom felt the weight of resilience deep within him. You need to understand that this isn't just about you being lost, he said, each word deliberate. This affected us both. I had to see your betrayal. Now I don't know if I can look at you the same way again. The air between them crackled with tension and desperation. Sarah stepped toward him, her voice trembling. Tom, I'll do anything to fix this. I swear. I was so selfish. I thought I could find something without breaking you. Did you think cheating was the answer? He could feel the anger rising in his chest again. You could talk to me. We could work through it together. Tom, please, I was terrified. I thought I would lose you if I opened up. I couldn't bear the thought of the truth shattering everything, so I ran. He looked at her, and in those moments, he could see how truly scared she was. Just as scared as he felt. Running led you right to something that could destroy us. I can't keep pretending everything will be okay. The pieces of this relationship are broken, and I don't know if I can put them back together. Tom's chest felt heavy, the fear of losing her clashing with the pain of her betrayal. Would he be able to forgive her? Should they even try? Isn't that worth fighting for? Sarah urged, her voice barely a whisper now, the determination shimmering beneath the tears. I don't know if we're fighting for the same thing anymore. His heart raced as he spoke, grappling with the uncertainty that consumed him. Then let us figure it out together, she said, desperation rising in her tone. Let us not make rash decisions when we haven't even tried. He hesitated, feeling each option weigh heavily on his heart. The idea of giving in to hope felt terrifying, yet the thought of turning away left him feeling empty. With a deep breath, he finally spoke again. You have to promise me that if we give this a real shot, there can be no more secrets. Promise, she said, stepping closer, but we need to start at the beginning. Remind each other why we fell in love. We can't just sweep this under the rug. Tom considered her words. The thought of starting over felt daunting. Yet, as he gazed into her pleading eyes, he realized that maybe, just maybe, there was a flicker of light amidst the darkness. What if we can't find our way back? He whispered, afraid of the answer he might receive. Her gaze held his, unyielding. Then we'll build something new. Together. A love built on truth instead of lies. As he absorbed her words, the future began to stretch before him, uncertain but not entirely hopeless. Tom knew they were on the edge of a decision that would redefine everything. But what if this was just the beginning of a more difficult chapter? Would they really be able to face the truth of what lay ahead together? Tom took a deep breath, the heaviness in his chest still nagging at him. He felt as if he were standing on the edge of a precipice, teetering between love and betrayal. Starting over, it sounds so easy when you say it like that, he murmured, his voice falling short of conviction. Sarah's eyes lit up with hope, but there was a fragility to it, like a candle flickering in a strong wind. It's not easy, she said softly, but I believe we can do it. We owe it to ourselves to try. He rubbed the back of his neck, considering her words. The first time they met, he had been captivated by her laugh, the way it lit up her face and drew him in like a moth to a flame. But now, everything felt different, and every memory was tainted by doubt. What if we need time apart? He asked quietly, the thought squeezing his heart. Maybe we should take a step back. See if absence makes the heart grow fonder or just reveals what we've lost. No, she replied quickly, shaking her head. I don't want that. Being away from you feels worse than the pain I feel now. The desperation in her voice pierced through him. He closed his eyes, imagining a world without her. It was dark, cold, devoid of warmth and laughter. Yet, the betrayal was still fresh, and it stung like salt on an open wound. Sarah, he paused, gathering his thoughts. We need to set boundaries. No more late-night texts or secrets, nothing that might send us spiraling again. She nodded, relief washing over her features, but Tom was still consumed by uncertainty. And if we can't do it? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. What happens then? Sarah took a step closer, her face softening. Then we face that too. Together. I don't want to lose you for good. I can't. Just give me this chance. I'm begging you. The tension settled around them, like a blanket wrapped too tightly. For the first time in days, his heart flickered with a little warmth. Perhaps they could build something new, as she had said. But he still felt the shadows of betrayal lurking behind every corner, waiting for the right moment to creep back in. Let us start simple, he suggested, forcing a small smile. How about a date? Just you and me. No talk about what has happened. Just us. Her eyes sparkled with a mixture of surprise and hope. A date? Like when we first met? Yeah, just like that, he replied, feeling a wave of nostalgia wash over him. Okay. I'll plan it. I'll even wear that blue dress you love, she said, brightening. That he chuckled, picturing her in that dress, its color emphasizing her bright eyes. Staring into her face, he couldn't help but feel a glimmer of what drew him to her in the first place. As they exchanged tentative smiles, there was still a large question looming: could they truly rebuild their love? Or was this date merely a band-aid over a deeper wound? Tom's got twisted with anxiety at the words unspoken, the possibilities standing in the shadows, waiting for their moment to strike. "Let us do it, then," he said, feeling both hopeful and apprehensive. But as they planned that future date, an unsettling feeling remained. The question nagged, was this a new beginning or just a precarious facade? That night, as he lay in bed, Tom wondered what his heart would reveal when the truth finally surfaced. Would he be brave enough to face it when the moment came? Tom woke up the next morning with a mix of excitement and fear swirling in his chest. The sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the room in a golden hue, but all he could focus on was the date looming ahead. He tossed and turned, replaying every conversation they had shared, each moment weighted with significance. Was he right to hope? Or was he just setting himself up for another fall? His phone buzzed beside him, cutting through the silence. It was a text from Sarah. "Good morning. Just wanted to say I'm excited about tonight. I can't wait to see you." A smile broke across his face, but it felt shaky, like it could break apart with the slightest tremor. He replied quickly, "Me too. Can't wait to see you in that dress." He got out of bed and paced around the small apartment. The walls felt like they were closing in on him, memories of laughter and love mingling with the ghosts of their recent battles. Tom opened the window, hoping the fresh air would clear his mind. Today demanded a different approach. He had made up his mind to make things lighter, to let the tension melt, if only for a few hours. Perhaps reminding themselves of what had drawn them together in the first place would help. A picnic? A walk through the park? He jotted down ideas, filled with an innocent hope. As he prepared for their date later, Tom dressed carefully, choosing a simple shirt that felt comfortable yet flattering. In the reflection, he caught himself smiling, but it faded quickly. He wondered if it was possible for one evening to shift the weight of what lay between them. The sun dipped low in the sky as the evening approached. Tom arrived at the park where they had decided to meet. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of blooming flowers. He searched for her figure, and when he finally spotted Sarah, his breath caught. She was stunning. The blue dress hugged her curves perfectly, and the way her hair danced in the gentle breeze turned a nervous flutter in his gut to something warmer. "Wow," he managed to say, caught off guard by her beauty. Sarah blushed, a soft pink coloring her cheeks as she twirled lightly to show off. "Just like old times," she said, but they both knew they were anything but the same. They wandered into their usual picnic spot, a quiet corner beneath a cherry blossom tree. Tom set down the blanket he brought, fumbling a little, as nerves got the best of him. The moment felt tender yet charged, like the calm before a storm. "Let us not," he began, but was cut off by Sarah. "I know. No talk about the past. Just us." Tom nodded, feeling a knot of anxiety untie slightly with her words. They sat down, sharing snacks and laughter. For those moments, it felt as if a flicker of their old love was trying to spark again. But shadows loomed, unseen and unforgiving. A lingering hesitation whispered through his mind, was this enough? Could a few hours of laughter erase the scars beneath the surface? As they finished picking crumbs from their plates, the laughter faded, and Tom felt the weight of unsaid words pressing down on their fragile evening. "Sarah," he started, searching for the right thing to say. "What if this doesn't work? What if I can't let go of what happened?" Her expression shifted, geared toward vulnerability. "Then we figure it out. Together. If we can't be honest, what's the point?" He could see her walls wrestling with his own uncertainty. And just like that, the pleasant facade began to crack. The park grew dimmer as the sun dipped below the horizon, and Tom felt the shifting tides of their conversation signaling a tempest that might lead them to a revelation or bigger heartbreak. What he didn't expect was the sound of footsteps approaching, footsteps that brought with them a familiar, chilling memory. The footsteps grew louder, and Tom's heart raced. Each step felt like a hammer striking a nail, pounding memories into his mind. He turned slightly, bracing himself for the sight that awaited him. There, framed by the fading light was Emily, their close friend from college. Her eyes were wide, filled with surprise and something deeper, perhaps concern. Tom felt Sarah stiffen beside him, her grip on the blanket tightening. "Tom. I thought it was you," Emily said breathlessly, taking a step closer. "What are you doing here?" Tom's voice was steadier than he felt. The warm, tender moment they had shared seconds ago felt like it was ripping at the seams. "I was out for a run and saw you too." "I didn't mean to interrupt," Emily started, but the words fell flat. There was no way to ignore the tension that hung between them. "Yeah, well, it's a bit of a private moment," Sarah added, her tone sharp. It surprised Tom. He had always thought Sarah welcomed Emily's company, but not today. "Oh. I didn't know." The embarrassment in Emily's voice elongated each syllable. She shifted her weight, looking between them. "I should probably leave then." "Wait," Tom said, feeling a rush of panic as he noticed how vulnerable Sarah looked. "It's fine, really. We were just having a picnic." "Right, a picnic." Emily's eyes darted to Sarah's dress, and Tom could see the recognition dawn on her face. "Looks nice, Sarah." "Thanks," Sarah replied curtly, but Tom could hear the weight behind her words. With an awkward smile, Emily took a moment before continuing, Well. I didn't mean to disrupt. I just wanted to check in on you guys. I saw you were going through a tough time." "Yeah, we're working on things," Tom managed to say. His heart ached. Was this how it felt to lay bare before someone else? "Good for you," Emily said, her voice softening. "That's really good to hear. It's important." She paused, almost hesitant. "You two are meant for each other." Tom held Sarah's gaze, searching for confirmation, for the old warmth that had been there before. But her eyes flickered with uncertainty, vulnerability, and something more, fear. Emily must have sensed the shift because she took a step back, her expression changing. "I'm sorry for intruding. I care about both of you. I'll let you be." As Emily turned to leave, Tom felt a mix of relief and dread coil in his chest. The moment was slipping away, and while Sarah remained silent, he could see the emotions swirling behind her eyes. "Wait!" Tom called after Emily, desperation spilling from his heart. "Could you stay? Just for a bit?" "Tom, no," Sarah interjected, the edge of her voice sharper than before. But in her eyes, he saw a flicker of fear, a hint that maybe she wanted this moment to stretch, to not face the unsaid words lurking in the shadows. The air was thick with tension, and every second felt like an eternity. Emily paused, glancing over her shoulder, her face a canvas of uncertainty. "All right, just for a few minutes. But if things get too raw, I'll head out," she said, her tone turning cautious. Tom returned to his blanket, his heart pounding in his chest. What had he just invited into their fragile moment? The unresolved tension was palpable. "Sarah, we don't have to." But before he could finish, Sarah interjected, "We need to talk, Tom. About everything." His pulse quickened. That was it. The moment they had danced around was about to unfold. The truth lay unwrapped, teetering on the edge. What lay in that unspoken conversation? Would it draw them together or tear them apart? As Sarah opened her mouth, preparing for the words that could change everything, the park faded into silence, leaving nothing but the weight of their impending honesty hanging like a storm cloud above them. The silence was suffocating, a thick blanket that pressed down on them. Tom could feel his heart racing, beating out a frantic rhythm in his chest. Every breath felt loaded, as if the air itself was waiting for a revelation. He turned to Sarah, his gaze searching her face for strength, for assurance. But all he found was a reflection of his own turmoil. Emily stood off to the side, her presence now an uncomfortable reminder of the unfolding storm. She looked between them, her expression a mix of empathy and confusion. "Maybe I should go," she began, her voice barely a whisper. "No," Tom said, cutting her off. The firmness in his tone surprised him. Please, stay. This might be important. Sarah's grip on the blanket softened, her posture relaxing ever so slightly. Fine, she said, but her voice trembled. We need to talk, Tom. Not just about tonight, but everything that's been happening. Tom felt a knot form in his stomach. He nodded, trying to muster the courage he desperately needed. Okay. Just, promise me you'll be honest, Sarah said, her eyes locking onto his. And without holding back. I promise. The words felt heavy as they left his lips. He thought of the secrets, the unspoken worries, the moments they had brushed aside like dust on shelves. It was all clanking around in his head. Then let us just, say it, she urged, her voice steadier now, almost fierce. I need to know where we stand. Tom took a deep breath. I've been scared. Scared that we're falling apart, and that we can't find our way back. We've changed so much. Her brow furrowed, and for a moment, he thought she might pull back again. But instead, she leaned in closer. I feel that too, Tom. But lately it's felt like you're somewhere far away. I need to know if you still want this, us, or if we're just pretending. The weight of her question hung in the air. Tom could feel the heaviness settle in the pit of his stomach. I do want us. But there's so much that's unsaid, so much pain. I just don't know if I can fix it. Sarah's face softened, revealing lines of vulnerability that shattered the walls they had both built. What if we just laid everything out? All the mistakes, all the doubts. Wouldn't that be better than dancing around it? Tom nodded, feeling a surge of hope. Yes. It would be. But will you be okay if it hurts? Her eyes glimmered. At this point, it can't hurt worse than staying silent. Let us be real with each other even if it breaks us. The resonance of her words echoed in his heart. Would their honesty make them stronger, or would it lay bare the fractures that had formed over time? This was a leap into the unknown, but for the first time in a long while, it felt like a step toward healing. As they began to share their fears, Emily listened quietly. The tension shifted, every word opened layers of pain and nostalgia that they had long avoided. Soon, they would dive into the depths of their love and challenges, navigating the dark corners that loomed large, but just as Sarah began to voice her deepest fear, a sharp sound echoed from the other side of the park, a sudden scream that sliced through the air, cutting their moment short. They froze, heads snapping towards the source of the noise. What was that? Emily exclaimed, her expression shifting from concern to alarm. Tom's heart raced anew, this time with a different kind of urgency. Let us go check it out. As they hurried towards the sound, the gravity of their earlier conversation hung behind them, its threads unpicked but not yet woven into something solid. In that moment of chaos, would they find clarity or a new depth to their struggles alongside the unexpected mystery unfolding? This was just the beginning, and their truths were still waiting in the shadows. What lay ahead would test their bonds in ways they couldn't yet imagine. The park buzzed with chaos as they raced towards the source of the scream, adrenaline propelling them forward. Children were crying, parents rushed about, and the laughter they had shared moments ago felt worlds away. Tom's pulse quickened, the urgency of the moment overshadowed the fragile, intimate conversation waiting to unfold between him and Sarah. When they reached the commotion, a small crowd had gathered around a fallen child, a boy no older than 5. His bike lay upside down beside him, the wheel spinning slowly, forgotten. A woman knelt beside the boy, her hands hovering anxiously, unsure of what to do. Tom's heart sank. He pushed forward, instinct taking hold. Is he okay? He called out, kneeling by the boy's side, the laughter of children now replaced by frightened whispers. The child lay still, tears streaming down his cheeks. His leg, I think it's hurt. The woman cried out, panic edging her voice. Tom immediately went into action mode. He pulled out his phone to call an ambulance, but Sarah was right there, her hand on his arm. Let me help too, she said, determination filling her eyes. They locked gazes, an unspoken understanding bridging the gap between them as they both put their feelings aside for a greater purpose. Tom raised his voice over the noise. "Everyone, please stand back and give us room." Within seconds, the crowd shifted aside, creating a space for them to work. Tom crouched closer to the boy, radiating calm despite the storm in his heart. "Hey buddy, can you hear me? What's your name?" "Jake," the boy sniffled, pain evident on his face. "Okay, Jake. You're going to be alright. I promise. Just hold still, help is coming, and Sarah and I are right here with you." He felt Sarah move closer, her presence a connection solidifying their teamwork. Sarah gently held Jake's hand. "You're so brave, Jake. Can you tell me if it hurts anywhere else?" "I think my leg is broken," he said, his voice small yet steady. "All right," Tom said, reassuring the boy. "You're a trooper. Just focus on us, and it'll be over soon. You're going to get up and ride your bike again, I promise." While they held Jake's attention, the paramedics arrived, easing the tension that had wrapped around them all. As they worked, Tom glanced at Sarah, sharing the weight of adrenaline crashing through their systems. In those moments, something shifted within him. The chaos of the park and the vulnerability they had yet to face faded into the background. They had both leapt into action, connected not just as a couple, but as partners, as parents caring for another child, a child who needed them to rise above their struggles. Once Jake was safely on his way to the hospital, Tom and Sarah stepped back, both feeling the residual tension. Tom turned to Sarah, hesitant yet hopeful. "Maybe helping together like this was what we needed." "Yeah," she replied, her expression opening up as realization washed over her. "We faced something truly scary together." The heaviness that had been suffocating lingered in the air, but it felt different now, lighter, softer. They had both just faced an unexpected challenge, tapping into a deeper understanding of one another, something they had so desperately needed. As the sun set, casting warm hues over the park, Tom found his heart swelling with gratitude. "Let's take a step together," he said softly, the weight of their recent chaos still lingering. "Together," she echoed, a glimmer of hope sparking in her eyes. They stood side by side, witnessing the beauty of their tight-knit community that had rallied around Jake and his family. And in witnessing that support, they felt that they were reminded that love can heal even the deepest wounds if nurtured with care, honesty, and commitment. Walking hand in hand through the park, feeling the echoes of laughter start to trickle back, Tom realized that maybe the larger storms were worth facing if it meant discovering the beauty within the brokenness. And as they stepped into the cool twilight, they both silently pledged to fight for their family, for each other. They would uncover what lay beneath their fear, slowly but surely, together. Now was the moment to embrace hope. That night, as they lay in bed, Tom turned to Sarah. "I think we can be strong enough to face anything," he whispered, "if we do it together." "Together," she confirmed, her voice now a steady tether in the darkness. As sleep enveloped them, Tom felt a glimmer of a new beginning, one built on trust, forgiveness, and the promise that even amid storms of betrayal, it's not all lost. They could rise from the ashes. The road ahead was still uncertain, but they held each other tight, resting in the newfound knowledge that each day offered a choice to redefine, repair, and embrace the complexity of love. This was just the beginning, and they were ready. Now is the time to take action. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you won't miss exclusive stories like Tom's journey. Hit that button, leave a like right now to feed the algorithm. Your support makes a huge difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.